Good evening, everyone. Welcome to, as I make a mess, tonight's board meeting. Well, I'm already standing, so I'm going to welcome you. And if you are able to, please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for bearing with me on that. Again, thank you, welcome. Don't think I did that quite well enough thoroughly, yes. So we welcome you all tonight. Thank you for being here. Moving on to agenda item 4 is our adoption of agenda. We have had a request to pull agenda item 8A. So whomever makes the motion to adopt tonight's agenda, please mention that we will not be having an item 8A.
Just for the other board members, it's the farm manager contract. Just some minor changes that need to take place at the request of Miles and Brian, and we'll be bringing it back to you in May.
Okay, I will make a motion
To adopt it.
to adopt the agenda with the removal of 8A.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Thank you. Call to the public is an opportunity for people to speak on anything that's on their mind. Do we have any calls this evening? Thank you. Anyone else in the audience that needs to or would like to speak on anything that they have not submitted a card for yet? Very well then. Next is agenda item 6 is our information and discussion items. Our first one up is our Yavapai County Education Foundation grant update. Amber Calkins will be presenting to us this evening.
Yeah, I'd like to recognize Amber, but also Dave Clever is the representative from the Education Foundation. He's also one of our MIC TED board members.
Oh,
So
fantastic. Welcome.
thank you for being here.
Hi. I really want to thank the Yavapai County Education Foundation for awarding me this grant. I teach 7th and 8th grade science at Heritage Middle School, and this grant allowed me to purchase cow eyes. Yes, I was going to bring some in, but I decided not to. For our 7th graders, it's kind of their culminating lab project they're doing in our life science unit. And they are super excited to do it. They bug me every day, when are we going to do the cow eyes? So they're very excited about it. It's going to be a really awesome opportunity for them. Something that I don't think that we've done in I don't know how long, but the kids are really excited about it. All of our 7th grade class will be able to participate. The grant also allowed me to purchase some lab equipment to go along with it. So the cow eyes, they're only a one and done kind of thing, but the lab equipment that goes along with it will be something that we can use year after year. So really, really appreciative of it, and the kids are super excited about it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Congratulations.
Real quick, Amber, would you explain to us exactly what you do with the cow's eyes?
Yes, well, it's a complicated thing, but the first thing
Okay,
that
simplify.
they're going to do is they're going to cut it open, peel it back, and they'll be able to look at the different components of it. Cow eyes are actually very kind of similar in how they work to human eyes, so it gives them an opportunity to kind of look at the cow eye and then compare and think about how that connects to.
That's wonderful. Thank you and congratulations on the award. Item 6B, our Golden Plate Award. I don't see Bernie. Mr. Schultz. Oh, there she is.
What I'd like to do is call up Bernie Boris, our culinary arts teacher, along with her students. I always tell people when I talk about our kitchen at Chino Valley High School, I believe it's the best commercial kitchen in Chino Valley. And this is just one additional item that shows that it's at least the cleanest, one of the cleanest. This is the Golden Plate Award. My understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, 0 violations, is that correct?
3 times in a year.
So they had 3 different inspections by the county health department. And in all 3 inspections, they had 0 violations. So we're teaching our students to maintain a clean and sanitary kitchen. And I'm excited to present this to you all. We can come over here if you want to. There's more, or I'll scoot over. You guys can, I'll scoot over. Guys, the tall guy on the end.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate what you do.
That's really awesome.
Good job. One of these days when we award or when we present those, I feel we need to have the statistics on how many operations actually receive them in the year, because it's not a lot.
They're actually posted in the Chino Valley.
Are they?
Paper when usually it's in, February,
Okay,
they'll post it, and so you get to see all the different restaurants that get a Golden Plate Award,
that's wonderful.
so you know which ones to see.
Thank you, Ms. Corris.
Thank you,
Clarify the
guys.
Cowboys and culinary don't go together.
Right, two separate topics. Item 6C is our territorial early childhood education preschool update. Miss Debbie.
Oh, guys, very out of my wheelhouse here, but I appreciate you having me to talk about our preschool program. I'm very, very lucky to be a part of this program. We have grown to, right now we have about 130 kids. We have 11 paraprofessionals, 2 certified teachers, and 3 therapists that work with our kids. And they're all top notch. We're doing such good things. Florence is ready. Do I press it? I get to have the power now, guys. So I'm going to adorabilize you a little bit with some pictures of some of the things that we are doing here at preschool. Welcome to our preschool. There are 2 of our students there looking at a book. We are a fully inclusive program, so we don't have a special education classroom. The kids are all integrated together for their day. If they need time away, if they need time to calm down, then they're pulled out briefly to be able to regulate, and then they come back into the classroom. We fully believe in this at Territorial because the kids are seeing that everybody has their differences and that it's okay, that rules don't have to be exactly the same for everybody, that we can show each other grace. And I really appreciate that that's part of our program. We run 8 classrooms, 4 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. The morning is our 3-year-olds, 3 as of September 1st of the school year, and the afternoon is 4-year-olds. If I'm talking fast, slow me down, sorry guys. That's our pre-K program. So they're learning a lot more of those pre-academic skills that they're going to need for kindergarten, whereas our 3-year-olds are really working on getting away from their parents, learning how to socialize with other kids, take direction from other adults, and so on and so forth. Like I said earlier, we have approximately 130 students. That's growing all the time. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that on my next slide. Our early intervention program is something that we're really proud of. Right now we have about 40% special needs population in our program. Speech, occupational, and physical therapies are provided in the classroom, so those kids are not even pulled out unless they're needed to pull them out for focus or to hear an articulation issue that they're working on. But the kids are all in the classroom, they're all playing together while they're receiving these therapies. And we also run a Child Find program every month, which is more often than we need to, but the population that we're serving, we're seeing a lot of needs coming up that we can address and hopefully help to the point that those children don't need services later on when it's a little harder to address them. We get funding from tuition. Our peer students are tuition-based. They pay $195 a month to come to our program. Our kids that are on special needs plans do not pay to come to our program. We also get scholarships from First Things First. We're part of the Quality First program. They award us 20 scholarships right now. They say 10, but since we're a half-day program, we're allowed to offer that to 20 students in our district to attend our program without tuition. And then we also receive a number of grants. Mrs. Cox is amazing at finding and writing these grants for us to get different materials and different things for these kids. Recently, we got a grant from Lakeshore for $19,000 that we get to spend by May, just because we are going through the steps to make sure that we are a high quality program. Questions so far? We good?
Excited because I was preschool for
Oh,
many years.
it's fun, huh? I had to put this in there. My favorite. Play is often talked about as if it were a relief from serious learning, but for children, play is serious learning. Play is really the work of childhood. When you're a preschool teacher, the first thing everybody says is, oh, how fun. It's like babysitting, and it is so much fun, but it's very well thought out, very well planned fun. It's fun with a purpose. It's fun to enhance as far as these kids can grow so that they can have the background that they might not be getting elsewhere. Here's a day in the life of a tech preschooler. They come in, they can ride the bus if they wish, otherwise their parents drop them off, sign in at the gate. They go out to recess for some gross motor play and fun with their friends as everybody is filtering into our program. We have free breakfast in the morning and free lunch in the afternoon provided by our cafeteria. Balanced meals are offered to all students. They always include a protein, a vegetable, a fruit, a whole grain, and a dairy. And those options are available even to the kids that bring their lunch from home. So if a kid comes in with a lunch that is more snack-based, they are offered a vegetable, they're offered a dairy option. They don't have to take it, we don't make them take it, but they always know that those options are available at school. Pledge of Allegiance, I have a video here, Lawrence. Do I have to click it again, or did I?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There it is. We do this every day with our 3-year-olds and our 4-year-olds. This is Miss Gina's class.
Oh,
That's okay.
I think the video didn't make it into the presentation.
Oh,
perhaps,
man. Yeah.
Because it's just a Google Drive link.
Well, if you'd like to see the video, I have it, and I'd be happy to share it with you. It is very cute. Miss Gina goes through a right-hand, left-hand lesson before the kids say Pledge of Allegiance, and you can see that they're all really into it, and they all know how to be respectful to the flag when we're saying the pledge. Circle time, this is my favorite time of the day. This is our direct instruction time, our big time direct instruction time where we get the whole class together like they would be doing in kindergarten, where there's always a story to be read. We do thematic units. Every 2 weeks, we change themes. Those are based on the students' interests. So our themes change from year to year based on, hey, they're talking about dinosaurs right now. Maybe in a month, we want to have a dinosaur unit. There's always a learning game that can address our early learning standards in science, math, reading, or social studies, especially for circle time. Lots of songs, lots of action, lots of up and down to keep them happy and excited about learning. Then we head into centers. This isn't considered a direct instruction time, but this is considered a direct instruction time for myself and for my paraprofessionals, because now we can break them into smaller groups and we can see exactly what they know, exactly what they can do, and how far we can grow them in their learning. So we do a lot of sensory play. We do a lot of math and language arts, of course. The kids on the bottom right side are on a scavenger hunt for farm animals during our farm unit. Geo boards, magnifying glasses. We bring in everything that we possibly can to give them every experience that we can possibly give them. Recess, one of our favorites. We got a brand new playground not too long ago with the foam ground, which is amazing because we don't have to deal with wood chips anymore. We love our playground. We're adding to it all the time. With the Lakeshore Grant, we're hoping to get some more things on our playground. But our playground is able to accommodate all of our students at once. And that's really nice to be able to see how they're going to do, because when they go to kindergarten, they will be with all of the kindergartners at once. We also have free play time. Free play time is a time where my paraprofessionals and myself are pulling kids one-on-one to work on certain things or engaging in play to build language and different social skills with them. You can see just a couple of options of things that we do at free play. We've got dress up, we've got Dr. Bo there, spelling our names, shaving cream, writing, lots of dress up, sorting activities, Play-Doh, reading in the cozy corners. Those are all things that the students are choosing to do at that time. Review and goodbye, and I have the cutest video that I wish I could share. Let's see if this one's gonna work. It's gonna work, right? Come on, Lawrence, you got this.
I'm sorry.
Guys, they did the cutest goodbye poem for you. If you'd like to hear it, I can put it on my phone. I don't know if you want to hear it. Thank you, somebody.
I do.
All right. I'm not gonna lie, I love it. Let's see.
Is that your granddaughter?
So this little girl right here is extra special. I just want everyone to know that.
Is she super duper?
She's my granddaughter.
Yep. We've got the best students, I'm not gonna lie. long as it opens. Because you want to hear this one. And Cindy, I'll let you see it. That's pretty important. There. You know what? I'll just get it right from my photo gallery because I took the video on my phone. It'll be right in here. I take a lot of pictures, guys. Ready? Here we go.
Can you see?
Take care, polar bear, in a shape, garter snake, hit the road, happy toad, and say blue jay, bye-bye, butterfly, toodaloo, kangaroo, time to scoot, little newt, till then, penguin, adios, hippos, hasta mañana, iguana, give a kiss, old fish. Get in line, porcupine, out the door, dinosaur, on the bus, octopus, to your house, little mouse. Our schooling now ends, so goodbye, my dear friend. See you later.
That is so cute. Thank you.
Of course. So just because I had more pictures, any questions, guys?
It's wonderful.
It is, as a parent that has had our kids go through this program, it's such a great program. And I just feel like it helps them be successful even in kindergarten.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I
And
appreciate it.
I know you said that you were lucky to be a part of this, but I think we are lucky to have you this step.
Very much
because
so.
Thank you so much.
You are, everybody raves about you. And I think I had a little boy that cried when he said goodbye to you when you were a teacher. So we are lucky to have you.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate
I
it.
have 3 children that have gone through inclusive classrooms. My oldest is 32. And is just at the beginning, and I couldn't be more proud that all 3 of them were able to experience 2 of them as special needs and 1 of them is not. And it's wonderful. And now 2 grandchildren. So great program.
And I think you're doing a fantastic job for as many special needs children you're
Thank you.
servicing.
Well, we are very lucky to have all of them. We have the best students, the best parents, the best campus. We do. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for all your hard
Thank
work.
you, guys.
Love it. All right, item 6D, superintendent report. Mr. Scholl.
All right, our enrollment's holding steady. We are well past our 100th day. And so should not see significant changes from here on out. So we're holding at about 34 ADM over last year, and included in your packet is a little chart that kind of compares the prior 3 years and this year. And just remember, ADM is not students because, for example, preschool kiddos and kindergartners only get half an ADM. So I did put in there so you have an idea of the number of kids that we have on campus. The ADM at Territorial is 454, but there are 644 kids on campus, second largest campus that we have because of the preschool. So just wanted to point that out. Teacherage update. I was very excited. 2 things happened. One a while back that you know about. We received the $500,000 matching teacherage grant that is an ADE grant. That's a pass-through grant through the Coconino and Yavapai County Education Service Agencies. So it is, again, matching grant. It should pay for 1/3 of the project. The other exciting news that we had is today we had a progress meeting with our contractor. And so I have a picture of what the home's supposed to look like. There's also plans in here. I'll pass this around. And if you want to look at it more in depth afterwards, I can get you that. But and there's actually 2 things. That's part of it, and there's also kind of an idea of how they're going to lay out on the property. But they're going to go with stick-built, site-built homes, still about 19 by 19 in size. A studio, basically it's a studio home. It'll have a full bathroom, a full kitchen, sleeping area and a living area that are, the living, kitchen, and bedroom area are kind of open, and then the bathroom has its own room. And then, again, 10 of them, they are anticipating getting soil survey results back today. They anticipate starting grading next week. I'll believe it when I see it. They say they still can get it done by the end of July. I think that's a little bit, if everything goes right and it doesn't rain in June and July, maybe, but I'm excited to see this go forward. And I think this is a huge step. They're planning on submitting something to the town of Chino Valley, the building department, next week. And they've already have a similar project going on in Prescott Valley. Those same plans for houses are in the Prescott Valley building department, permit department right now. So.
And we feel it's still gonna be come in within budget?
That's what that's the expectation.
Okay.
They believe that this actually, Mr. Livingston would like to see some, what was it?
Stone veneer.
Yeah. They said they will look at the budget and see and give us the best thing that we can. It will be the same or better than what they had initially proposed.
Which
This
was
is
those one houses, right?
correct.
That we saw,
which
okay.
were modular homes. These we anticipate are going to actually get a better value for us.
Yes.
Also, Mr. Sheriff, our facilities director, was in on the meeting, and he's, I think, I'll speak for him, a little bit more comfortable with this construction process from a maintenance side. So that's so I think there's lots of positives in this project. And again, I'm excited to hear from the contractor that we're moving forward, that they've got plans in place and a schedule in place and so forth.
And we made the news.
Yes.
Speaking of that, yes. So there was an article in the Courier about our teacher grant that got picked up by the Republic, and I've been working with the Arizona Republic reporter for a couple weeks. That came out last week. I was on Channel 10 came up and interviewed me in my office. Channel 5 did over Zoom. I did a radio interview. I have another radio interview next week. And I spoke to a CNN reporter today who may be coming out and talking to us and a couple other districts about teacher shortages in general, and then specifically how maybe part of that solution. And it's not a cure-all solution. I'm making that clear. This is just only one small part of it, but it's how teachers can maybe be a key or a part of that overall solution.
I think it's so great because it's really positive. I feel like, I don't know, maybe you guys get negative phone calls, I'm sure.
No matter what we do, we'll get negative. There's going to be haters out there, but in general, it's been more positive, much more positive than negative.
Well, I had some people message me and even call me that saw it on the news and like, great job, Chino, like what a great idea, and I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah. I think it's overall a very positive process, and it's just surprising. It's a pretty slow news day, I guess.
I think that it's better to be positive news than be on the news for negative stuff. So
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing, and I'm excited about the project. And if we can get this in by the end of July, I think it could have a huge impact on 10 of our staff members, really. So
So this, after all the preliminary stuff, then they'll be able to start building, right?
right, so Mr. Sheriff's team put in the water to the property line already, so that's done. Once they understand what the soil survey says today, then they can bring in the grading company to basically grade it. They think they may have to do some compacting, move dirt and reapply it and compact it so that it's so that we don't have buildings that are sinking or off kilter or whatever. So the grading contractor will come in, then they'll bring in their own team to bring in utilities, the electrical, water, septic. And then they will bring in the last team to kind of work on the foundations and start going vertical. They also will have a paving contractor to do the fire lane and parking spots. And we are going to do, I think, a couple things. We want to put up a privacy fence We'll be coming back to you in the next month or two. We have to make some decisions, or the board needs to make some decisions about kind of policies and procedures in relation to who has, what kind of priorities are there to put people in there, how much are they going to pay, and some of the things about, there's things that people do in their homes that are completely legal that may or may not, or that aren't necessarily legal, but we may have to make some changes. And I'm thinking like smoking and drinking and things like that, things that you could normally do in your house. And so, the board's going to have to make some decisions based on recommendations on how to do that for those residents. It's not, we want them to enjoy living in these in these homes. And but at the same time, it's on school property. So facilities update. When I was putting together the grant for the teacher's grant, Mr. Livingston provided me with a list, and this is the list. And I wanted to show you all the SFB projects that we have received. And I think the earliest one is September 21, but that was really related to the HVAC project. These are things that we are having paid for by the state of Arizona, not just the roofing projects, not just the big HVAC projects. We're getting new bleachers in both gyms. We're getting new floors and not floor refinishing in both, in actually the middle school gym, and also this is getting a new floor in the gym right next to us here. So there's some neat things going on, and I wanted to really throw out some kudos to Mr. Livingston. These things would not have been possible without him doing the work to get this done, and it's a lot of work. So I appreciate, and then this is just the award. There's all the tracking and the drawing down the cash and paying the vendors. And so I wanted to throw that out that he's doing a great job. And this is evidence. It really surprised me how many projects that we've actually done in that time. So,
How much some of them cost, holy cow.
yeah, absolutely. But even like the, to replace this floor in here, to replace it, $107,000. Two sets of bleachers at the high school, $240,000. And this is money that we do not have to spend, that the State Facilities Board, SFOB, is now paying for us. So wanted to throw that out there. Yes, ma'am.
I know some of these are greatly needed. Mostly the weatherization in the HVAC, except in the roofs. Would we have been redoing flooring and bleachers had we not had this money?
Probably not in the gym here. Probably not. The bleachers, it's a matter of the money that we have setting priorities. Probably not the bleachers, although, we can, all of this needed to be done. And I don't know if that without the SFOB, if we would have been able to do it.
I was just wondering if any of this freed up additional funds that we already had received.
I would say yes, because some of these air conditioning units we would have to change just to kind of survive
Sure.
in the buildings. So absolutely. But also it's improving the quality of our buildings and a better place for our students to come and learn.
Thank you.
And then lastly, the last thing I wanted to do is kind of give a minute or two to Cindy to talk about, you guys approved some curriculum lately. And if you've been in our hallway, you've seen some of it, but I just wanted to kind of let her have a minute or two to talk about an update on where we're at with that.
So science and social studies were the primary things that we've been receiving that was new. And then we're also receiving like our annual orders for our consumables, our English language arts materials, our math materials. So we are sitting at about 85% received. What we've received so far in pallets is the size of 3 school buses. So if you think about, that's a lot of pallets of books. And so Cheyenne, Carolyn, everybody's been like an all hands on deck. People have been everywhere. Facilities has been great about moving them because stuff comes boxed and it's all mixed up. You would think like all the 5th grade would be together. Oh, no, that's not how it comes. So they've been going through it all. They went back over as we've sorted it out to the schools. The company thought that they had sent us a grade level of incorrect materials, that it wasn't the Arizona edition, because you'll remember that Arizona moved Arizona history from 4th grade to 3rd grade, and everywhere else in the country, state history is still on in 4th grade. So it's changed it up for Arizona. So they were back over in the shipping container. We purchased shipping containers to store stuff in at the campuses because a lot of the books are consumable. So we're at about the 85% received phase. They know everything that's missing, like some science kits and things like that. And those are all in the process of getting here, as well as all our shipments for next year. Our regular orders are starting to arrive too. So it's coming along, and the schools have set up training for their teachers with new materials. Eric Rudnick, who is our education technology specialist, he's IT part-time at Territorial and then oversees all the subscriptions and all the digital interfaces for all our materials in the district. That's a huge part of his job. He's been on top of that, working with the vendors, because part of the process is all the teachers need to be set up, all the student accounts need to be set up, because every textbook has digital access and assignments and stuff as well. So Eric's been in the process of integrating all that, working in the training with the teachers. It's been super exciting. And it's done a few other things, like we've had a couple schools uncover some really, really, really old materials as they've been looking for, okay, how do we store this? How do we organize this? How do we get it deployed to teachers? Because they don't want to send it out to classrooms in case we move some people around and things like that. So we found some like 30-year-old reading books that were like, okay, we're gonna have to auction those, but nobody's gonna want them, So just a few of those things too, but it's been super fun and it's exciting. And it's been neat because some of the materials we've already started using, and the teachers have been really excited to have access to stuff that we haven't always had access to. So kids are excited, it's that thing where you feel proud of where you are when you have nice things to use and up-to-date things to use, not broken things and old falling apart books. So it's super exciting. And the district office, has been pretty crazy, but so's the bus barn. So that's where it's all been. That's kind of the update, and we're in the process of training. So.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's the end of my report, unless there's any questions.
We got $100,000 worth of new cafeteria equipment.
That's another grant that we got.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
and then it's LP grant.
Keep coming. That's great. Just as a reminder to the board, there is the rest of our calendar through June 30th. And mark the things that you're able to join us at.
And please let Cheyenne know if you are attending the Million Word Challenge awards dinner at Del Rio. So we have a count for Sodexo.
June 7th is our board meeting on a Wednesday.
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay. I just want to double.
Yeah, I'm gone the next 2 weeks, and so my daughter's wedding, so the board accommodated that, so I appreciate that. And Mr. Livingston's gonna have to work his magic to see if he can get his proposed budget done by then, or we may have another meeting towards the end of the month. in June.
May 10th, we'll be ready.
That's your revised budget. We're talking a proposed budget.
That's right.
So May
I heard
13th.
budget. So we're backing it up in June.
June 7th.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, if we need to, we can do another one later in the month.
All right, item number 6E1 is our financial activity reports. Mr. Livingston.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, President Holmes. So I've got a few pieces of information. This is a transition month for us. You could say, well, why is it a transition month? And I've got some data here we might get into. I've just got some sheets here. I'm just going to read off some numbers, but the transition month is, for me, every month is a transition month this year. I guess you could use the phrase, we're in a cost cyclone. I hate the word cyclone, but it's very descriptive of rising hot air going up based on conditions, and we've been in one for about a year and a half. So I'm gonna kind of end with that, but that's kind of the gist of my report tonight. If you look at our year-to-date expenses in the operating fund, at the end of March, 75%, this is for the March 31st, 2023 financial report. 12.5 million spent in our operating fund, 69% of the year, 69% of the budget gone, 75% of the year gone. We like that little 7 or 8% cushion so that we're not spending 90% of the budget when 75% of the year. So 69% of the budget spent, 75% of the year gone. So that's a good trend. Our capital fund it's hard to even have a reference unless you look at it historically. 2019, we at this point for the whole year had spent 435,000 in capital. 2020, 869,000. 2021, 870,000. So right on 800,000 last year, 9.5 or 955,000 this year. It's on your report at 1,639,000. And that's with throwing back 4 buses. They were encumbered. We just kicked them off the encumbrance, had to call and cancel. $745,000 for 4 buses that we just said. We put in a PO, but once we got looking at miles and I guess conditions of our current fleet, we just said we can't pay $200,000 for it. Well, $220,000 for the most expensive.
So without the 745, we've still already spent
1,639,000.
Textbooks.
Yeah, big chunk of it was 500.
Textbooks.
Okay, I'm just trying to wrap my head
Yeah,
around
so that
the
was coming.
huge
Cindy knows how much they
difference.
cost.
Okay, thank you.
580,000 for textbooks, almost 600,000. When we did it in 2019, it might have been a little bit of exaggeration, but I think they were about 2/3 as expensive. Maybe 400,000
Different
versus.
kinds of books, science materials, yeah.
So things are just going up. So
Okay.
we're trying to find ways to find heavy. If you've ever been again, Dutch oven, the heaviest lid keeps the stuff from boiling. We're just looking for a heavy lid. So.
And to talk about that, when we talk about buses, that $220,000 bus 4 years ago, 3 years ago was 140.
Yeah.
So it's gone up almost 50. The bus has almost gone up 50% in the last 4 years.
In fact, in 21, we bought a bus for 145,000 from a COVID grant. That same bus today is 225. I think it really, what, 80 tires on it or something? So anyway, so just to keep on, so this time of year is reflective for me because I have to look back and see where we were last year this time, even before that. So that's just M&O on capital. 691 fund, that's on your cash balances. That's our fund that we use. Mr. Scholl just mentioned the 25 projects that are approved by School Facilities Board. We just applied for another one today. Thank you, Chris Sheriff. Maintenance Director brought in a $103,000 quote for putting 2 new 25-ton chillers on top of the high school gym that are older than, at least 20 years old, non-functioning. So
The AC units are about 15 years old, and the resonators, the heaters that are on top of the gym are about 30 years old. I'm trying to eliminate both of them and go with a package unit, 2 new package units.
So if that's funded, that 103, that'll really help. And then we just kind of stumbled into it. Mr. Scholl brought it to me about 2 weeks ago, and I couldn't find the way to apply, but we found this extra pot of COVID gold, so to speak, $187 million, and try to get our hands on 653,000 of it. And that would be 510,000 for curriculum that I put in for. If that comes, I'm going to start just kind of breathing again. Life will be good. I won't need an supplied oxygen. But things are just out of this world for prices. And we mentioned the 97,000 for the school lunch. And we have, again, really high hopes that at the end of the year, if Pronghorn is finished with the featurage, the workforce housing units, the 500,000 we spend them because we have to cash flow them. When they have bills, we have to pay them. But then the county grant, if that's approved now, which it is, and that comes back in, that's kind of a net zero for us if it's all done by the end of the year. So we have 930,000 from Kansas State Bank, a third-party finance lease purchase, and 500,000 here from the county. So if that's all done, then we have a net zero. But capital cash is getting tight too. So, and then we take a quick look at our overall cash, and we see overall cash is hanging in there at 5.9 million at the end of March. And again, that's in several different places. But we still don't know what next year's budget numbers are gonna be. That's the uncertain factor. Last year, we're getting in the 21 year, the 22 year, we were getting $4,400 per student. The 23 year just ended, we went from 4,400 to 4,700, $330 a student. If they can maintain an 8% increase again, that'll be nice. But we won't know that until at least June. One year, they didn't even tell us that until July. We actually approved budget. So that's all I have. Any questions for the month of March?
Have you heard anything from the state as far as which way they're leaning? Are we looking at
Well,
possibly 8%?
We know that by statute, and they've honored that, it's at least 2% per student, which in this case, if it's 47.70, it's $95.40. That's the minimum.
There,
So-
you know, this will be an interesting budget cycle because it's since I think Governor Napolitano, the last time we had basically our governor and our legislature are opposite parties. And so in order to get business done, there needs to be some kind of compromise. And so we'll see. I met with our lobbyists last week. It's kind of been quiet on the budget side. They both have their budget priorities and they've thrown out their budget, put out their budgets for people to see. But it's going to be interesting times to see what they actually come up with. And I know they want to go home. They want to go on vacation eventually. So we'll see what that does.
All right, we shall wait and see.
The really good news is that the state economy is so tremendously, must be on steroids because the money that comes in from that 0.6% that we give to teachers only, the classroom site fund, has almost $1 million in it right now, 957,000. That's just based on a percent of sales tax. That's tremendously better than it's been for the last several years.
And what our plan is to come up with come to you in May with a plan on how to spend that. And 100% of that money goes to teachers. And this year, teachers got $11,000 and our proposal next year will be 13.
Wow.
So it's not going to drain it. And we want something that we can sustain over time and everything else, but it's something that's on the classroom site fund side that we can maintain and get money into teachers' hands.
Any other questions or comments on this financial report? Nope. Thank you. How about student activity report, Mr. Livingston?
Student activity, I'm going to say is working very well because we have many folks, and Ms. Wolf was here a minute ago. Yeah, if it wasn't going well, Ms. Wolf would be in our office. So it would be, I say, going very well. And the student council, and someone asked me yesterday if I wanted to be, and I thought, of course, of Dr. Moody, if I wanted to be the disc jockey, was it the junior prom? What's the dance you're having?
The prom.
Yeah, and I thought you would probably know all the singers and the songs that these kids would like, but I didn't ask you, so,
It's not Johnny Cash, I know.
So we don't have too many upset visits from Mrs. Wolf, so I think it's going very well. Ms. D'Angelo might have a different story because she's very busy, but I think the student council, I think it's right on course.
Fantastic. Thank you. I don't know. I think you might make a really good DJ. It's just a thought I'm having.
You have a light up bow tie?
I do. I do have a light up bow tie. I think you thought might be misguided.
All right. Item 7A through K is our consent agenda. We can
I
get a
will make
motion.
a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
A second, please.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, we have pulled item 8A, the farm manager contract. Item 8B is to dissolve 4 paraprofessional positions and to add 2 teacher positions. Dr. Burdette.
Hello. So every year we review what our caseloads are going to be, what the programs are going to look like. And after a very careful review, some of our programs have grown and others have gotten smaller. And so we've noticed that we need another teacher at Territorial for resource. And we need to split our extended resource at Del Rio. But in order to do that, I had to think of how to pay for it. And so when I looked at all the programs, it kind of worked out. There were some that got quite a bit smaller, so I could dissolve 4 parapro positions that were already gone anyway. I'm not taking people's jobs away. They're actually going to the new autism program. So those positions we would have had to hire for, but now we don't have to if we can dissolve those 4 positions. And then that pays for 2 teacher positions to help with the caseloads and the teaching and all of that. So does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so it would be a wash. It wouldn't cost any extra money to do this, and it wouldn't take anyone's jobs away.
That was my main concern.
Yeah, and so I would just like to propose that if we could please do that and to add a position at Del Rio for an extended resource and a position at Territorial for a resource position for special ed.
Any questions?
Sounds great. Okay, I'll make a motion to add an extended resource position at Del Rio and a resource position at Tech to be paid for by dissolving 4 paraprofessional positions.
A second.
Second.
Perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks a bunch. Item 8C is the certified employee stipend. Mr. Scholl.
So last month, you all approved a plan to try to pay for coverage of preps for our secondary teachers. And I appreciate the approval, and it's on me that we probably shouldn't have taken it to you. We don't think, well, 2 things. We don't think we can get the staff to fully staff it. And the second thing is we don't know if it could be sustainable year after year. And I don't want to do something and then have to take it back a year later. But what I'd like to propose, and this is something that we being Mr. Livingston and Cindy and I have wrangled for quite a while, that we think that we can afford a one-time stipend to go to teachers that are returning. So this would be for existing staff that sign their contract and come back in the fall, $4,000 that would just be promised for 1 year only, would be an additional stipend to their contract. So it's separate, it's not on their base contract, be a completely separate contract to make it clear that this is a one-time only thing. And that we believe that is doable, and really what we think that the net effect would be is that most of that would come from, I call it very fluid. We're hoping that most of that comes from our ESSER, and by moving existing M&O into ESSER, it would free up M&O to pay for these positions. We're talking 100, right now we're talking 100 and, I thought the number was in here, 119 staff members. That would be likely going down as we get, we anticipate a few more resignations. Contracts aren't due until April 20th. So that would go down a little bit as people don't fail to turn in their contracts. We only have a very few. We don't have a ton left out. So that would be pretty close. And in addition to that, we also would have some other funds that we could tap into if we needed to comfortably get to this number. Again, the goal is to get money into teachers' hands. This is one way to do that. And again, it's only committing us for a year, not committing us longer than that. If we go next year at this time, if we can afford it, we can do it. But if not, we choose not to. The other concern is, and I know that this is a lot of our calculations all over the place. All the calculations that we do are based on our stable enrollment as we have now. If enrollment goes down, we'll have to adjust anyway. No matter whether we do this or not, we'd have to adjust if our enrollment goes down. I don't anticipate that. Our enrollment went up last year. I really think that we're at a minimum will be a flat enrollment.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there some type of stipulation, like what if they sign and then like school starts and they're like, oh, bye, I'm leaving?
Right. So this is actually paid over 4 pays
Okay.
along with our classroom site fund. So the first pay, it's kind of after the fact. So the first pay they wouldn't get until the end of the first quarter.
Okay,
Second at Christmas, the third
Okay.
at spring break,
okay.
and the fourth at the end of the year.
Smart,
And
okay.
that's when our classroom site fund payments are made.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
That would work better than giving them the $4,000 at the beginning of the year.
Right. So when we also have a stipulation in their contract that says that we can, and I can't remember, I don't know if how much is it? 750. So we can get some money out of their contract. I think it's more than 750. I can't remember the exact amount.
It's about 2,000.
Yeah, I thought it was. So if they break their contract, they have to pay us $2,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is just for teachers, not like,
So it's actually for all certified staff. So that would include our therapists,
okay,
instructional coaches, our, trying to think, counselors, deans of students, those that are working on the teacher salary schedule.
okay, okay.
Now, the motion does say 5,000, but that needs to make sure that that's
Change to
4,000.
4.
Yes, please.
So the total amount is gonna change or? is
No,
it-
that total amount is based on 4,000.
So number one, I'm sorry, if I may just real quick, Mr. Livingston, thank you for changing it. I had horrible thoughts at 2:00 in the morning for the past month. So that's awesome. The 576,000, is that, let me be very, very clear. I want to give our teachers absolutely as much as we can possibly give them. I want to give them more than we can possibly give them. Is that 576,000 going to be a detriment to anything else that we're doing? Is it needed elsewhere?
It's 476.
Is it 470?
476?
Did you include the 21% ERE?
I did not add the ERE, just the stipend amount.
So that's what the extra is the ERE, which is another 20%, 21%.
And the
20%,
reason why I ask, and maybe I missed this somewhere, I have slept a few times. When do we have to start paying the 18 teachers that we
We have one
paid
more
out of
year.
COVID, okay.
We have one more year.
Do we know where that money's coming from yet?
Right now, we've been transferring, this year it was 570. Is that right?
Last year, we did 700,000 from M&O to capital, and we plan on doing that again this year. And then you wanted all the marbles on the table, so a lot of what we transferred last year, if you want to look at it that way, did go to curriculum this year. It would have been nice if we would have, anyway, we have to keep our doors open, we have to have curriculum, no question.
Absolutely.
So yeah, another 570s on the schedule for the May revision. We did it at the March 10th revision to transfer that capacity from M&O over there. So,
We've been saving up.
And that's my bottom line. I want to make sure we can afford this and any future that we want to give our teachers and we're able to give our
So we
teachers.
do have more than just teachers in ESSER. And, there's a couple things, there's 8 main teachers, I think it's 8, 2 from each campus, that money is supposed to cover when they come back in. Okay? We have other positions that when ESSER goes away, those positions may have to go away as well. And we've anticipated that.
We have enough attrition in the district every year. You can see we're already at 18 certified resignations. That if we had to let the positions go in order to roll it back in, then we make adjustments, and then it will also flex based on enrollment as well.
So would we not be considering filling the 18 positions that we have
Those we
left?
are, but let's say in a year from now, when we have the 8 rolling back in, 2 of them are interventionists at a level where a lot of school districts don't necessarily provide academic intervention teachers. Maybe those are positions that we offer the people who are in them right now a different assignment and decide to dissolve the positions.
So I want to make clear, because I don't know if it's clear the way I wrote it. Those 18 positions are from our current staff that have resigned. And those are going to be filled by new teachers who would not be eligible for this because they're new to the district.
Okay.
This is only for those, we're rewarding those that are staying with the district. That's
And
what that,
again, this is for this year only.
for 23, 24.
Correct.
Correct.
And then the following year, we can reevaluate and see what, if anything, we can afford.
Absolutely.
We're going year by
Makes me
year
feel a
on it.
little bit better.
And, yeah, and then like last week, for example, like Thursday randomly, we could apply for money that we hadn't been expecting that covers more than the price of all the textbooks, which could allow us to save more money, to put more money in our, basically in our savings. So we're doing a lot of really looking at things that are like one-time expenses that we can pay from funding that will also be going away. So they're not expenses that we're trying to carry forward, but that are one-time. So in May, I'll start revising all of those stimulus money funds and really calling that for, okay, what do we have coming up between now and when those funds expire that we can do one time and maybe roll some ongoing back into M&O at that point and flip one times into it. So we've seen some little bit of relaxing on what initially they had required in those as it's getting, like as deadlines are looming, they're kind of doing, okay, spend the money, you know, that sort of a thing. And so this, we've sat on quite a bit of funding just to watch in anticipation of maybe that will, like, we initially had to set aside 20% of that money for learning loss. We set it aside. Our students haven't had those profound learning losses. As a board, you guys decide, let's not tie all that up into positions we might need to let go. So we've run summer programs or things like that that we don't have, like maybe then we just won't run them anymore. Or as a robust tutoring programs or things like that.
And again, I want to make it perfectly clear. I want to give them all. I don't want to take anything away.
You're doing your job by asking the
Right.
questions. And one last thing is, you know, we have like a backstop. You know, we plan on transferring money about the same, about 570,000 from M&O into capital again next year to reserve that money for the staff coming back. If all else fails, we don't move that money. We spend it for this, and then it's a one-time expense, and that money becomes available the next year for staff.
Now, by moving money back and forth, what does that do to our carry forward? Mr. Livingston or
It
Cindy?
reduces what's there in operating fund.
But if we're shifting expenses to grants, then it's adding money to our carry forward. So we're in the process of trying to figure out what all can we shift to try to make our carry forward more robust. And like the grant that we did, you know, that John and John like raced like maniacs and had like 87 minutes and I shot, you have 11 more minutes. No pressure. It was awesome for once the shoe was on the other foot. And with all that, it was great. And
No, it wasn't.
but they got it turned in and there's no reason to believe it won't be funded. So all of a sudden now money we spent on textbooks allows us to, you know, build that carry forward a little bit more in a more robust manner. So it's been interesting as we've had access to a whole different type of federal funds. We've had to really think differently about long-term, short-term, you know, and it feels, you know, I mean, this will totally date me, but on Johnny Carson, remember the plate spinner guy on the Tonight Show? And he's probably too young.
Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
Johnny Carson.
And, you know, the guy had like 27 plates spinning and he'd be like running up and down trying to keep them spinning. And that has what stimulus money has felt like.
Yeah, right.
And so that's what we're doing. And I mean, we're kind of looking forward to the day when we're not spinning as many plates. But by the same token, we're trying to be super smart. Like, you know, we bought some buses and things. We're trying to be super smart about what we can do to help the district be financially successful as we roll forward.
And that's my big thing, sustainability. We have to be able to sustain everything that we're giving them. I'm much more comfortable knowing that, and I did know this, but I'd like to hear it once again, that we're looking at this year only and we will evaluate year after year after year. Would there be some way, Mr. Scholl, if we could get maybe, and not for this in particular, but maybe this goes along with our strategic planning, even just some forecasts of what budgets and grant money and, he's pointing at me.
Well, one of the things.
And everything else that we could
Yeah.
possibly
Right.
look at.
One of the things that we had talked about in our, and I don't want to say negotiations, but in our conversations was,
It felt like negotiations. but I
was
did
that
not offer any price.
we need to, and, you know, we do it, but not necessarily as formal maybe, that come September, end of September, we need to kind of do an analysis to see where we are. And if we need to at that time adjust things, what those things could be, we'll decide at the time. But if we're to the point where the forecasts don't look as rosy as we'd hope, that we would need to we can make adjustments at that time. So it's something that we do, you know, you guys see the budgets and things like that on a monthly basis. So it's something we do monthly, but we do it on more of a formal basis. And it's something that we can share with you.
We had talked about one of the agreements that we made among ourselves was that we would let first quarter come and go. And then after fall break, because October 1 counts are important counts in this business, especially for Group B weights and things like that. And so one of the things that we decided was after fall break, the three of us will really reconvene with a different kind of microscope, right? And say, okay, enrollment's usually stable. By the end of first quarter, we have a pretty good idea who's coming, who's going, who's here, how much they cost us, how much we get for them. Our budget numbers are fairly stable at that point, and then we'll start making all the adjustments because we still have opportunities until June 30th of 2024 will be the last amendment on any of the ESSER funds. So we still are over a year out from tightening up all of the budgets in those to match exactly how we want to spend the
Yeah, if you have something, you can either pass it along, email it to us, whatever you feel
The
best.
interesting thing, and I think Superintendent just said it, and Cindy kind of added to it, and this is where I'm coming from on this issue. That we have other costs that we haven't talked about even. Costs that have nothing to do with salaries and benefits are also skyrocketing. And if we add those costs to this year, and then we take a look at next year and we do some projecting to kind of quote Cindy here, to put into my words, if we waited on this expense even until we knew where we were in October. I mean, I would not want to come in front of you and say, well, you know, we went down 50 students. For every 100 students in our district, there's $780,000 attached. So for me to be super conservative, which I hope you think I am, because I think I am. If we knew what our accounts were and our expenses were this year, and we could jettison that 576,000 teachers, I think that would be a much safer time to do it. Then you know exactly what the budget's gonna, well, again, we don't even know our budget for this year. I hate to say it. Our 100th day count hasn't been calculated by ADE. That's how we get our 100th day count. So that's what I'm saying. We think it's about 18 million, but there's other calculations that based on student count. That's how bad this current year funding is. It's April 10th and we still don't know our budget for the year. Not completely. We know a pretty good estimate. I'm just saying, from my angle, it would certainly, I just wonder, what are we going to gain if we approve it tonight?
We may not be able to approve it later. That's the other issue, is once we start school, we just can't change contracts. We can't just add money for a job that somebody's already doing.
Does it have to be in contract form to give a stipend?
What other form?
I mean, I think of other organizations that just give you a stipend, give you free money.
Right.
Or
Our issue is a gift.
bonus. Thank you,
Our
whichever
issue is
you
a
call it, bonus.
gift of public funds. So we can't just give money for somebody to do the same job they're doing now. So that's a concern. And, you know, I understand where Mr. Livingston's coming from. His focus is M&O. This is well beyond M&O. And as I mentioned, we have the backstop of utilizing that carry forward if we have to. There's some others as well. But, you know, if we, But if we don't do it now, I don't know if it's gonna happen.
If we do it now, we can't carry it through.
But I think there's plans that we can carry it through.
Okay.
You know, I'm confident in that we can.
That's what I'm just concerned
Right.
about. For some reason, an expense comes up and everything is so expensive anymore.
Well, I think that expenses are, you know, that could happen with anything. It really could. You know, we have that, we don't move the money back. We utilize capital. And we had talked about that was one possibility, is tightening up capital. And if we have to, we utilize that. So.
And if we get that grant, that could be for problem solved. I'm very comfortable with a one-year plan. I truly, truly am.
We are too, or wouldn't be here.
Right.
I still am just super concerned about the financial climate.
Mhm.
So how many chains in that backstop?
Um,
I'm
you know,
not sure I got that.
So
I think it was
there's really
just-
two that I'm looking at. One is we don't move the money from M&O into capital. That would cover almost this entire amount, $570,000, give or take. That's a one-time. Right now, we're moving it in there to kind of reserve it for so we don't spend it in M&O, because we don't want to put continuing expenses in there that we're just going to have to, and then we won't have that's capacity to put the teachers into. That's the first thing. Second thing is if we have to dip into M&O, that's the last thing we want to do, but that's available as well. We have other funds that we could dip into before that. We have, you know, we're looking at doing, and this is not a sure thing, but we're looking at doing MIPS, which is Medicare cost recovery. That could cover some of that, probably not all of it, but it could cover some of that. That's something that we're working towards. So there are contingency plans on how to pay for this that are well beyond this $576,000.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Which brings us to just one more plateau,
Yes.
which we know for the last 12 years, our student count hasn't changed from 2,250, not even 1%. My concern is if we add the positions we already added this year, which were 10, and we bring more in, and this is the same thing we've been saying in our little meetings, I guess, that now we've taken our M&O count from 235 to 255 without one new student behind it. I know it's 1 year. It's just these other costs, we have them going up 600,000 again next year, nothing to do with operating costs. I want to just stop talking about it. I mean, I'll
So
support everything you want to do.
I guess that actually kind of answers my next question or comment. In the grand scheme of things, what is $576,000? I can't believe I just said those words. But I'm being quite honest.
That's fair.
Quite serious.
You know, out of a,
budget, so.
you know, when you throw in M&O, you throw in title, you throw in ESSER, you're talking 20, you know, in capital, 23, 24 million.
Is this something that we have
500,000
to
is-
make a decision on tonight? Or is it something that we could table and come back to next month?
I don't think the information is going to change by next month.
I don't think so either. We either need to take the leap and do it knowing that there may be some risks, or we don't take the risk at all. That's the way I see it. And
And I think,
honestly, I think I'm willing to take that leap, knowing that we can put the brakes on if need be next year.
And one way I can see this work, it's not that I'm Mr. Insight, but if we take all the sites, all the schools, all the departments and say, here's your budget, 83%, whatever it is of this year, and try to restrict and really maintain that. And then, because what I show for next year, if we do this extra 576, we could be on a budget of 18.2, we could be spending 19.3 with all these other new costs. 1 million, 1.2 million over budget. We transfer that money from capital back to M&O. As long as we can make it work with that, with everything in place, and but that's what I see. I see some budgets really being tightened up and managed, and like we did with the buses. I guess as long as you trust us to do what we did with the buses, which is knock 4 of them right off the purchase list, and then we're going to get through and we're going to be careful with our buses. We're going to make them last
Well,
longer.
I don't think there's anything wrong with people being a little bit more fiscally responsible.
You know, and
We
I
get a
don't
budget,
even
this
know
is
if
what
it's
you spend.
fiscal responsibility more than just, you know, tightening our belts in certain areas
Mm-hmm.
to try to get money into teachers' pockets. That's kind of what the I guess my goal is here. So.
And it's a
John,
good goal.
I have a question for you. Like, we get so much for each child in the program. Do you think that'll get, with the cost of living and everything, do you think they'll get raised next year or?
Well, I'll answer that in two ways. We alluded to it just a little bit earlier, but from the 22 year, when we were getting $4,400 per student, to the 23 year, the current year, where we went to 4770, 338% increase. I would have to say that was only done by the legislature, that for people funding, because the floor is 2%. I would say it was only done because they had the money to do it. They only fund it when they had the money basically in hand. So if they do that again this year at 4% or 5%, and now that 4770 jumps to 48 or 49 or 5,000, we dump that right back into our operating fund and then we can transfer it to capital. I'm just.
You're doing your job.
I can't
You are doing
comment.
your job.
I can't comment on what their willingness is to do that, even if, because they're kind of like us, like they kind of live year by year. Well, if we have a surplus, we'll pass it on, because there's no use just building up the rainy day fund, because they know it helps the state when they invest in education. They know that. I just can't. I just kind of deal with concrete things if I can.
Right, I understand. I was just trying to throw that out there to see, you know.
So, I mean, here's a real simple example. Our capital fund right now, we spent 1,639,000 going through all the calculations. I've calculated all the encumbrances and their necessary things. Larry's gonna know what I'm talking about. Brandy's gonna know what I'm talking about. $14,000 just got on a purchase order last week to Arizona Furnishings for all your furniture at the school. Larry knows about Logicalis for 8,000. Sunland Asphalt, 210,000 if they come and fix up Del Rio's entranceway. That may be spent by June 30th. 305,000 added to the 169,000, 1,950,000 spent this year. We know next year's budget, that's going to have about 600,000 carry forward. We know it's going to get about 1.2 million new money next year. That's the way the formulas run. So 1.8 million. If we have to tighten our belts, 1.2 and transfer it back to M&O, we could do it, but then that means we have 600,000 to spend, and this year we spent 1.9. So it's just as long as we know what's coming, if we're going to get in the ring with the champ, we want to have a way to win. You know, and that's what I'm saying.
Correct.
So as long as you trust us to just stay within super tight parameters, at least until December, we can make it work, no question.
Well, I'm a Pollyanna. I believe we're gonna get grant money, and I believe we're gonna stay at 8% increase for ADA.
8%.
Wasn't it 8% with ADA?
It was
for our
44,
Okay.
4440 to 4470.
And, you know, I'm saying that we're gonna do this with the same amount that we have based on the kind of the conversation that we had. So maybe it'll be somewhere in between.
And I've never met a finance guy that's not incredibly conservative, so.
I agree, and I don't know what to do, because when I drive here and I saw the price of gas went up again,
We
there's
want
a
an
lot of
8%
things
raise.
that are going up, you know? So, you know, I'm with Cindy, I want to give our teachers everything that we have. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. Can I just not vote?
No. Oh, there's 4, maybe.
I'm optimistic. I like the climate. I think it's positive, not only with what we're doing here and the way how we're micromanaging the funds we have. But I think the broader climate is favorable too. I'm comfortable with the administration's recommendation myself.
Right. Any other comments, questions,
I'm
concerns?
feeling like a total Debbie Downer right now.
No, you're fine, because I'm sitting on the fence too, you know. I mean, I just know how much everything is going up, you know, every day.
I mean, I have the confidence in you guys, don't get me wrong. Like,
Right, I do
it's
too,
not,
but you
it
know what
doesn't
I'm
even,
saying.
it doesn't even have to do with that, you know?
Now, if we don't, you know, think of, I'm gonna twist them.
Okay, please.
See what you think
please,
about
twist
this, okay?
twist.
Those are expenses that our teachers are gonna have to incur at increased rates. So their effective purchasing power is going down. Because we are, otherwise, if we don't do this, we're giving fairly minimum wage. We're giving pretty much the minimum wage minimum increase that we could give. And so that's, you know, that's about, I think, I can't remember was it like 3%,
One
4%.
1.7 to 900,
Correct.
around 3%.
Around 3%, 4% is what we're given for a raise right now.
And we know cost of living for Social Security is pegged at almost 9,
Right.
8.7. We know that. So
So
Yeah, I got
their
7.7.
effective purchasing power for what they're getting in their contracts will be going down. This just helps alleviate that somewhat.
Okay, well, there you go. You twisted me. You twisted my arm.
And I just want to throw it out there. You know, I want you to have the whole picture,
Yeah.
you know,
When you put it into perspective like that,
so.
that makes
Well, and I
sense.
can tell you that the town's cost of living in merit is well above 3%
Mhm.
this next year. If we're gonna be comparable with other organizations within Chino Valley.
Let's move forward. I'm gonna make a motion to approve a one-time stipend to returning certified staff up to 4,000 to be paid quarterly. This replaces the prep coverage plan that was previously approved.
Second
I will
as fast as
second.
I can.
I'm gonna say, yes. Oh my goodness, all in favor.
Aye.
I do appreciate the discussion because it's all out there.
It needed to
It's
be.
all out on the
yeah.
table. Everyone had their opportunity, so I do appreciate that.
I don't like it when it comes to.
I still would like to request looking at projections and everything, like in a sit-down scenario, again, maybe during this strategic planning process.
Okay.
If I'm gonna take someone to battle,
to battle.
me and you are going to battle. I don't know where we're going
Wow.
together. So I think you would.
Okay.
She means you're
I
on
mean,
her side.
you're on my side.
We'll be
I
on the
mean,
same side
on
though.
the same
Just
side.
like this.
Your
So-
thoughts are like my
You'll be
thoughts.
pulling the
That's what I
trigger, I'll be giving you the vote.
mean. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, we're just having so much fun. Let's move along to item 8D, our personnel report.
We have a supplement, so make sure you pull out the supplement as well.
Where are we again? Where?
Personnel.
Oh,
I
And
have a
your
question
supplements.
about something. 16, was this, do we know that this resignation was coming or,
Yeah, we anticipated that.
okay, that was my question.
We have 8 new certified, 1 new classified, 10 resignations, 3 retiring, 12 certified changes, 8 classified changes, and 182 timesheets. This is a busy time of year for personnel, so a lot going on. But we have 10 resignations, but 8 new certified. So we're down a couple, but we're working at. I know that I was talking to Mrs. Cox this afternoon, and she's looking at applications. I know that the high school had some interviews set up for this week. So I know that they're working diligently to get these positions filled. We are, struggling a little bit, but it's not unique to Chino Valley. It's education in general.
I have a question about number 8. And their resignation termination reason. I think this is something we're gonna experience more of, due to that type of employee.
That person never came to us.
Okay,
So we offered a contract in hopes that they could get their J-1 visa,
Uh-huh.
but they were never in actually the United States.
got it. Okay.
So,
Okay.
could
I
it
was afraid
happen?
it was one of our.
Current ones? No,
ones.
no, no. This person we wanted to hire, but it never panned out. And so, again, you offered the contract. That was a stipulation of the J-1. Actually, she initially couldn't qualify for a J-1. She tried to do an H-1B visa and it just didn't work out. So,
I have one more question. 14 retiring?
yes,
Oh,
we've known that for a long time.
Oh, I didn't.
We have a pretty cool SRO that's likely going to take his place.
Okay.
And one more question. 26, it's also 27.
Uh-huh.
Is this for this next year, or we were gonna shoot for him just to be the athletic director?
I'm still working on that.
Okay,
But all that is right now is he got his master's degree. So it's just working on getting him additional compensation for additional credits.
perfect, okay.
I have to tell you, I'm glad to see 18.
Ah,
So,
All right, any other questions or comments on tonight's personnel report?
No, but I would make the motion for the approval of the personnel report.
I'll second.
All right, all in
and
favor?
supplement, sorry.
Supplement,
Oh,
please.
and supplement. Make the motion for the approval of the personnel report and the supplement.
And I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Sorry, gotta get my book back. Item 9A is strategic planning. This is just a discussion item.
Spoke to a couple of you independently, but just wanted to see if there's any questions. And I received names for the court team from 3 of the 4 of the 5 of you. So I think the 2 that kind of gave up who they were. So
President, Vice President.
so I want to kind of get your names, and I'll start reaching out and talk to Julie Bacon as well. Did she send you all the kind of the wrap up that she?
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to make sure you got that kind of the summary of our last meeting, and then we need to get this court team started and set up a meeting for that.
I liked the entire process. I really enjoyed her interactive activities that made us kind of think outside the box a little bit and help us identify the needs that we are looking at. My 2 cents.
I don't like it. My 2 cents. I don't like it because I feel like it costs us a lot of money. That's why I don't like it. And it's gonna cost us a lot of time too, which I know, here's my opinion. I mean, since she gave her 2 cents, I'm gonna give my 5 cents. I think that when what we're doing, we're changing things that another group has already started. So, or not started, but like planned out. So the things that we're now gonna change, whether it's, you know, our mission and all that kind of stuff, another group has already created what our mission is. And so to me, now we're gonna pay money to recreate our mission, where I feel like our mission statement is gonna be the same, but maybe change like a few little words, but yet it's costing us money to change those words. So that's my opinion.
Let me play devil's advocate real quick and ask you a question. Do you know any of the key items that's on the current strategic plan that we're supposed to be following?
No.
Great question.
Yeah,
And-
and that's one of the main reasons why I feel we need to do it. I couldn't tell you any of them, even though I sat in on the last strategic plan that was absolutely insane with the amount of things that we were doing and just didn't make any sense whatsoever. I may be wrong, but I know, well, I'm not wrong on this. I know municipalities have to do their strategic plan every 5 years.
Okay. And when was the last time we did one?
It was like 14, wasn't it?
Mr. Noggle, I think, was.
That was,
No,
9/10, I
Yeah.
think.
I think Mr. Howard, I sat in on one with Mr. Howard.
Okay.
And I want to say that was 2014.
Okay.
I mean,
See,
okay, that
remember the-
makes sense then. That makes a little more sense.
And I want to say, just mention you had focused on the mission statement and the kind of the tagline. I think that's just a small part of it.
Yeah.
But that's just, again, that's my opinion.
Okay.
But,
And there's nothing that says we have to do that.
No.
I think the main focus is that we understand the direction of where the district is going. And that's the meat and potatoes, okay? And that's the sort of the more specific, the specifics about the direction we want to make sure we're headed. And then it's up to us to make sure that we're meeting those, okay? And that's where I think we're not sure whether the district is doing it or not.
Mhm.
And that's our job.
And I think
And
the
that's
other,
why, that's what's most critical.
I apologize. I think the
Sorry.
other part of that is ensuring that we know what the district's supposed to be doing. We know what the community wants the district to be doing, so that when the new superintendent comes in, we can say, and this is who we are and what we're supposed to be doing. Instead of that person having to redefine and reinvent themselves and the district all at one
Okay, so question,
time.
could we do the strategic planning without hiring somebody? Couldn't we do it within ourselves?
I'm gonna say no. I think it's good to have that outside party. They have and it doesn't have to be the ASBA. I do wanna say that. It doesn't have to be them. There are other people that we could utilize. But I think it's good to have a kind of a non-partisan or a stakeholder.
Yeah.
Really driving that process, because I think that person could kind of steer things a certain way, and where somebody that's not involved doesn't have that stake in the game, and won't be biased that way.
And someone that has experience with other school districts. Again, kind of like the $576,000. How much does the
Is it 6?
6,000?
6 or 7.
It's more than that.
Is it?
I think it's about 1,000 a visit for 6 visits, something like that.
So in the grand scheme of things,
Less than
it's a
10.
drop in the bucket, unfortunately.
It's less than 10.
I think
Yeah.
it's less, right, less than 10. Because we have to do, that's for this year, and then I have to open another PO for.
What we don't use, yeah.
Probably under the bid.
Thank you, though.
No,
I'm glad you said that.
yeah, it was just it was my thought, just like the last time that we were in the meeting, and I just was thinking, I honestly, going into that, I didn't know it was gonna cost us money until I asked about it, because I didn't feel like, maybe I wasn't paying attention though, which that could.
And I don't think we might not have shared it with you. I know I talked to Cindy about it. I don't know if I shared it with the whole board that it was gonna cost money.
Yeah, I was picking it up when she was saying that, coming up here and
Yeah.
she's not charging for these things. And I go, okay, she's charging something though.
Uh-huh.
right? So, you
And
know,
I have a feeling, and again, don't know this, that we're getting a pretty darn good rate through ASBA instead of going to an outside consultant.
And I don't know the answer about that.
Yeah,
I
I am just,
can't answer
I'm
yes or no
just
on that.
presuming that going to a
Right.
private contractor would be more.
One I've worked with before, Patina Solutions, 46,000, 18 months, but the bond for 40 million they needed passed. So it was a
46,000.
big public awareness, and they did the same thing, posters all over, but they had all these stakeholders, so it's a little pricier.
Yeah.
All right, anything else, board? Fantastic meeting. Thank you all. See you June 7th. Except for you guys, I'll see you in a whole bunch of stuff this month. And just FYI,